I was 20 when I first developed an eating disorder.
I was 13 or 14.
I was 11 years old.
I was 10 years old. I'm diagnosed with anorexia, and when I was 10, I started throwing out food and whatever. I was always picky. I always had really bad OCD and stuff, like, weird things like that, but 10 years old was when I first was actively skipping meals.
But I've been dieting since I was in 4th grade and really just feel like it was kind of there my whole life. That's just when things started to spiral out of control. And one word that I would use to describe what it's like to have an eating disorder, it's definitely just isolating. You lose a lot of your friends throughout the process. Realize you can't be friends with the same people who were like supporting your dieting at one point. And you don't go to social events while you're going through an eating disorder, just because there's always food involved, and then people are asking like, why aren't you eating? And that's just really hard, so you just decide not to go.
It's hard, definitely exhausting. I am tired constantly.
I would say having an eating disorder is chaotic.
I would just say relentless on both ends. It hasn't always been that way. It honestly never ends. I believe that one day it will. I hope that it will. But even when you keep trying to tell it, no, I don't need you. I'm better than this. It's relentless. And even when it's telling you, no, you need to listen to me, somehow I've still been able to still be here. Things that I've lost because of my eating disorder. God, where do I begin?
I would say just kind of a normal college experience. I had to take off a semester in college for treatment, and then I think on my 21st birthday, I went to sleep at like 6 p.m.
Basically a normal high school life. I was constantly in and out of school. I missed my prom. I missed school dances. I missed socializing because of my eating disorder, because it was like my only friend.
Doing things that are, something that you should be doing and you should be going to, but you can't because you don't technically go to high school. It's not fun. It's miserable. I was miserable. I was angry. And I'm in college now, and I have a great group of friends, and I love them dearly, but I just wish that I could have experienced that in high school too.
A normal functioning childhood. Friends, countless friends. A boyfriend, whatever. A normal senior trip. Normalcy in totality was robbed from me.
What was the last straw that made you decide to go to treatment and begin recovering? I did not choose to go to treatment. I was forced into treatment. I was in the hospital for something unrelated, and they said, hey, what's wrong? And at that point, I was tired of lying, and I was tired of feeling alone, and I said, hey, I think I have an eating disorder, and they were like, let's get you to treatment.
I think the last straw that made me decide that I wanted to finally recover was I'd already been in treatment one time, and I went to a group there, and I just sat there and looked around at everyone who was crying and struggling, and I didn't want that to be my life anymore. I was tired of it, and I just broke out into tears, and that's sort of the first time I really felt like I wanted to get better.
I didn't really get a last straw. I don't want to be too graphic, but my liver started failing, and so I had no choice but to go into treatment. I was mandated into going, but that was embarrassing enough of an experience. So, it was hard because I remember thinking like, I wasn't even ready for this, but obviously it was necessary, and I haven't been back since then. Sometimes I feel like I probably should have, but right now I'm in a better place.
And what's one thing I wish people knew about eating disorders is that they're definitely not a choice. They're an addiction, and unlike people who abuse substances, they can avoid the substance, whereas people who have an eating disorder can't avoid the food.
I wish people knew that eating disorders can happen in all walks of life, can happen to anyone, can happen anytime. It's not just a teenage girl phenomenon. It's just, it can happen to anyone at any time. It can happen to girls, it can happen to boys, it can happen to overweight people, it can happen to underweight people, it can happen to anybody.
I have changed my answer every time I've recorded this video, but I would definitely say when people blame themselves, it's not helpful. It's not your fault. It's not anybody's fault. It's something I need to do on my own. I need to get through it on my own.
Honestly, and I don't know how to say this, I just wish people would shut their mouths. Like, something that people don't know is, like, people think that your outside body is some type of communication about what's going on in your head. People are like, oh, well, you're definitely not anorexic anymore. And it's just like, listen, like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you this, and this is still going on, but keep your mouth shut too, because you don't know how I feel. You don't know what's going on in my head. You don't know how hard it is for me to feed myself if I do that day. Like, and I'm not, a lot of people just make a lot of assumptions based on your body, on whoever you are, on whatever type of eating disorder that you have. And people, and I know it's not their fault, that they're just uneducated, and that's all it is, but if there was anything I wish I could tell people about eating disorders, it would be that the physical, by no means whatsoever, in any way, shape, or form, matches the psychological.
And one moment that I felt completely free, I don't know about completely free, I definitely believe in like full recovery, and as close to full recovery as I ever have been. I think I just still struggle with body image a lot, but I don't let it dictate my behavior as much, which is amazing progress from what it used to be.
I have never felt free of my eating disorder, but I know I will get there one day. It's not today, it might not be tomorrow, it might not be for another 15 years, but it will come.
I think anytime I ride my horse is a moment that I completely forget about anything that I've had struggles with, and I just feel totally healthy, totally happy and carefree, and that's something that I never felt when I was sick.
This morning, I woke up really early. I really bad insomnia, and this morning, I knew I had to go get a car mirror fixed on my car, and that was at 10. So I did some stuff. I finally, I knew I wasn't gonna go back to sleep, started doing some adult things. And I've been trying really hard lately, and I decided this morning, this is my biggest fear on earth, and I can't believe that I did it today. But I've always wondered, I want to be strong enough that I can decide to go out in public and eat by myself in public and not worry, not think, or anything. All I did was go and get a toasted poppy seed bagel with avocado on it. But in that moment, I sat there, I was making a to-do list, thinking what I had to do that day, talking to some people, and I'm thinking, I'm just getting emotional because I think back to this morning, and I just really, I ate comfortably, and you always feel really full after, but it's that whole time felt like I was just any other person who eats food like a normal person, who doesn't obsess over weights and calories and checking my stomach every time I take a bite, such stupid stuff like that. But this morning I really did feel that way, and it was a really nice feeling.
And something that I would tell someone who's struggling with disordered eating or an eating disorder is that, there's more to life, and when you actually start living and find your purpose, you realize that measuring your worth based on a number on the scale is so trivial.
Use your coping skills. For a very long time, I was like, coping skills are stupid, only stupid people need them. I was wrong. I was dead wrong. Coping skills are very important and they're very, very helpful.
I would tell anybody who is struggling with an eating disorder, disordered eating, that I know it feels like you're never gonna get to a point where you're completely recovered. I know it feels like this is gonna be your life for the rest of your life, and I thought that for a really long time, even when I was in treatment, even when I got out of treatment. But I've been out of treatment for, I think, about 3 years now, and I can confidently say that I am completely free of my eating disorder. There are days where I wake up and I feel like, oh, I don't really like the way I look today, or things like that, but it's nowhere near what it was like when I was in the depths of it. And as cliche as it sounds, I just want everybody to know that it gets better. I want people to know that you deserve help and you deserve recovery, even if whether you've been struggling for 6 months or you've been struggling for half your life, doesn't matter. You don't have to get sicker in order to get better, and that's something I thought for a really long time. You don't have to reach that underweight goal. You don't have to be hospitalized. You don't even have to go to treatment in order to get better. Everybody deserves to get help if they're struggling.
Honestly, one of the biggest prisons that your eating disorder puts you in is making you feel like, it almost makes you feel special, because it makes you feel like no one understands you. Nobody could ever go through this, but you're on a mission to beauty. You're on a mission to perfection. It like convinces you that you're like chosen by this disease, and even though you know other people have it, it's just such an intimate thing, and you just don't think that anybody really understands how it is to be you. And if there was one thing that was a pivotal point in my life for me, was going to treatment and seeing that I was not alone. It's like the very raw, authentic, emotional part where you think back to like your childhood and that one thing that made you like think this or that, the other, that your dad did this, your mom did that, and how it just changed you for the rest of your life, and you think that nobody else understands what that's like. But going to treatment and being in a house with 56 other girls who had lived almost the exact story that I did was amazing. So if there was one thing I could tell anybody who has an eating disorder, it is that you are absolutely not alone. There are a million people who understand what you are going through, and there are even more than that who, even if they don't understand, still love you. And your eating disorder is always going to tell you that they're the only one who's ever going to care. They, because you literally, it's so sick, you personify it. But I'm telling you that for every thing that your eating disorder promises you, however much you think your eating disorder cares about you, the people who love you a million times more than that, and you are in no way, shape, or form alone as long as you live in this world.